Okay, I'm back on this CJ5 body tub restoration again, and I have the driver's side floor out and use the same techniques as I did on the passenger floor. And you can see even on a clean body how much rust falls out of the hat channels and stuff on the floor there. And I have the floor riser patched in again, and I didn't grind it yet, it's still kind of hot, but we're letting that cool. I have the edges prepped up, and I don't have anything cleaned up on the original tub just yet. There's still some rust that needs to be removed, and then the weldable primer goes on. But I have the floor out now, and I'm going to take you over to the bench and show you what that looks like and show you how to make an original floor. And I'll meet you over at the bench in just a little bit. Okay, there's the floor as I took it out, and I released all the spot welds, and this section here has come out, and you can see what the floor looked like. And basically, because the M38A1 had come out before the CJ5 Civilian, you know, the M38A1 had a fuel tank that went below the floor. It had a deeper sump to it, so that's why the floor was shaped like that. And then instead of changing tooling around and retooling for the CJ5 floor, the Civilian model, they just took a patch panel here and spot welded it right into place there. So it's just a frugal way of doing things, and it worked out okay, and the floors were plenty strong that way. And here is a floor panel, and what I'm going to do is I don't have enough material in that to make both pieces, so what I'm going to do line this particular piece up with the fuel hole, and I don't know if you can see it on here, but I'm just gonna, I got a red line there, I'm just gonna cut outside the metal here, a quarter, half inch, something like that, and then start to fit it to the vehicle. And like I said in the last video, take your time on fitting your patch panel. Make sure you get it as good as you can. If you spend an extra half hour now, it'll save you, 3 hours of welding time if you're filling big gaps and stuff. So take your time, make the patch real nice, and it'll weld in that much better for you. So I'm going to zip this through the bandsaw, get it cut, get it fit, and then I'll show you how we joggle the edge here and put the flange on it. And that's what's coming next, so stick around and I'll be right back with you. Okay, here's the original floor, and I have the replacement floor cut perfectly to fit in the body, just like I did on the passenger side. And I have this body mount hole located in the right place. I put our template on the inside to make sure I had the fuel hole in the correct place, and everything looks like it's working out real nice. And then off of this original, I took some measurements and some dimensions very carefully, and I made the layout line there you see in red. That is this edge, and this folds up a quarter inch here, so imagine that folded down. That's what that line represents, is the line before we bend it. So, and then this side here has to be offset to allow the panel to fit in there. But for right now, I'm just going to take this in the bandsaw, and I'm going to cut that line perfectly, and then we'll head over, put the flange on it next, and then joggle that area there. So it's coming along, and won't be long before we have the correct floor for the driver's side. So I'm going to cut this on the bandsaw now and be right back with you. Okay guys, you've seen me use the flanger before on some projects, and I'm going to use that to put this quarter-inch flange all the way around our floor pan. Lighting is kind of tricky here, but think you can see I've got some very short tooling in here. That's just going to make a 1/4 inch flange. And I can't get all the way through. It's hard to see with the lighting, but I can't get all the way through here because the sheet is going to hit the machine before I get to the end here. So we'll just work some areas by hand. Both sections are going to leave me a little bit short, but we'll just knock that up with a hammer and dolly, and that's how the flange is going to go on this particular panel. And then once it's flanged, we'll run over to Pullmax, and I'll show you the offset going in. Okay guys, we're getting ready to put that offset in the floor, and I've got a set of joggling dies or offset dies, whatever you want to call them, and they're just going to give us a little area. We're going to push that material down about 50 thousandths, and that'll allow the 18 gauge panel to sit flush with the rest of the floor. And I've had these dies for a long time, but I quick gave a machine surface to the back and made it the right distance. So what I'm actually going to do is hook our panel on there. I'm trying to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to hook the panel on there. I got my start point, and then I'm going to run it right through there to the end. And I'm going to use the flange up against the die as my guide, and that'll offset that panel just perfectly for us. So let me get set up for that, and I'll show you how I put that in there. Okay, we've got our little offset in there. That's our original rusted panel, but that'll sit right in that little offset there. And I think you can see that okay. So when we make our new panel, this is just a scrap piece of 18 gauge. That'll lay in there, and then the floors will be flush there. And when they made the floor pan, the way they did is they put an offset on the floor here, and then when we go to put our flat floor piece in there, we'll take and we'll offset this one here, so that'll sit down inside of, this will be, I think you can see it here, I'll be offset like that. This one has already got an offset in it, so everything will sit real nice and it'll be flush in there. There was not enough material out of the floor to get that panel out of there, so I'll just take a piece of regular 18 gauge steel and put an offset in it for the top there, lay it in there. Then we'll lay some weldable primer in here, And we'll spot weld everything together because it's out of the vehicle, and we can make a nice panel while it's out of the vehicle. We don't have to reach around stuff with the spot welder. We'll get that in there, and we'll make a nice solid floor, and then we'll just weld it in like the passenger side, a little bit at a time, tack it here and there, and eventually we'll move on to fitting the hat channels. So I'm going to work on this the rest of the day, and hat channels will be tomorrow or next week. We'll get those put in, and that'll take care of most of the front of the vehicle. So I appreciate you watching, and if there's anything you'd like to see, just let me know, and I will catch you on the next video. Thanks again for watching.